Hello everybody, it's Margaret here with a quick update on the changes that we have made to the LS3 results spreadsheet. Following a number of requests from you all, we have made some additions and added some functionality which hopefully will make your life easier when it comes to recording student grades, and we have added a couple of tabs as well to allow you to record second marking of speaking and writing. So to start with, you'll note that the number of columns at the beginning of the spreadsheet has been reduced, and we have taken some of the columns out because you fed back that you don't really use them. What we have kept are the basics: the group number, the student's surname and first name, of course, the student number. We've added student email, as some of you have asked for this, and we also have added class teacher. Going to the right, another addition is the record of language progression requirements for each student. Some of you said that it's really important for you to be able to monitor how students are developing their language skills and how soon they are able to actually meet not just the Kaplan Award requirements, but actually university progression requirements. So for each student, you now have the option to fill in the information about the language progression requirements for each skill and overall. And the way that we've designed it is that once you start populating students' exam results, the spreadsheet automatically checks when the requirement for progression is met, and this will be shown in these columns S to W. So as you can see, for those students who have met, it will display a green yes, and if the progression requirements hasn't been met, then it will display a red no. For those students for whom you have not got either the language progression requirements noted or they have not taken their LS3 examination, will have these result pending columns and cells displaying. So if you want this to work correctly, you must input the language progression requirements, and then once the students are actually on course taking examination, you must populate the exam results once they've taken the exam. We kept the unlocked columns for you just so that you can add any information that you want aside of what is already included in the spreadsheet. And now, in terms of the actual recording of results for each of the sets, you'll see here that for speaking, we've added the option of indicating to us the multiple versions of the speaking exams were used. You mentioned that with large cohorts, you have to use more than one version, and it was problematic for you to actually record it accurately on the spreadsheet. So if that's the case, please, from now on, choose that option, multiple versions are used. If not, of course, you still have got the option to choose the individual versions. So let's assume you had multiple versions, you select this option, and then we have added 2 columns for each of the sets within the speaking results section to indicate which version of the speaking exam used was for for each of the students, and which set within the version. Okay, so that's as far as the addition to the speaking set is concerned. Now, for both writing and speaking, we have also added columns indicating who was the first and the second marker for these 2 skills. Again, some of you have wanted to be able to sort by the first or by the second examiner and sort of do your own internal analysis. So we've added that here. This is also somewhat linked to us adding the second marking record for speaking and writing. I'll speak to about these in a second. Another feature that we have included in this version of the spreadsheet is that for students who are absent, you fed back that you had to scroll all the way down to each of the drop downs in order to select the absent option. These have been now changed so that absent appears as the first one on the drop down. So you can select the absent and it will again automatically populate the result as absent as well, and the overall will not be calculated. Now, for writing and speaking, again, just to make your life a little bit easier, we have changed this so that you only need to indicate under the task achievement criterion that the student was absent, and automatically it will show the overall writing result as absent. So you don't have to populate these columns here in order to get the overall result. Same for speaking, you just need to indicate under task achievement that the student was absent in order for the overall results to change into absent. And of course, the overall result will then appear as absent. So these are the changes as far as the recording of the SITs are concerned and the kind of main results tab. But as you can see, we've added these two tabs for recording of the second marking processes. So if we take a look at speaking, what we have here, and unfortunately these are not linked with the results tab, so you will have to populate these manually because of course the selection of the samples that you will be second marking will depend on the size of the cohort and the local arrangements, so you will need to populate this manually. So the details regarding the student name and the class teacher, the date of the speaking exam version and set will have to be populated manually. And then you've got the column to indicate who was the first examiner, who was the second examiner. Examiners then can record the grades for the students that they marked independently from each other. So the first examiner records his marks in the blue set of columns. The second examiner records his marks or her marks in the purple set of columns. And then there is obviously the final agreed marks under this sort of reddish set of columns. So this obviously will be populated after they've met and agreed on the final set of marks between themselves. The calculation of marks, overall marks, is automated here. So again, the marker just needs to pick the marks for individual criterion in order for the overall band to be calculated. So let's just go through this very quickly, just as you would in the results spreadsheet. And it'll automatically calculate it for you, so you don't have to worry about the overall band. You've got a column for comments and notes. These are unlocked, so you can change them as you wish. You can then copy the marks that you have agreed from this tab onto the results tab. Now, some of you have fed back that you had problems copying marks from your internal sort of local spreadsheets on this official results spreadsheet. It might be that you were trying to copy all the marks, including the KAC overall speaking band or writing band. If you want to copy, the key to successful copying is if you just copy the marks of the criteria. So let's just do this operation. Let's assume we want to copy marks for this first students. So if I highlight these 5 criteria, I Control C and go back to the results tab, and let's assume that I want to input it under this student because that was the student. So I'll put copy over and it copies it nicely, and the mark will be calculated automatically for me. Okay. If you try to copy with the overall band, it won't let you because you will be trying to copy over a locked cell. This is why it doesn't work. So just if you want to copy, just copy the individual criteria marks. So going back to the speaking record, please use this tab to indicate and to keep record of your second marking processes. Similar setup is for the writing. So we've got the student details that you populate manually, first examiner mark, second examiner mark, and the final agreed marks here. Okay. The writing examination feedback and speaking examination feedback sheets have been left unchanged, so you can still use them if you want to. You don't have to. These two tabs are linked with the results tab, so the results from the first sit right through to the 8th sit will copy over to this writing examination writing and speaking examination feedback sheets. Unfortunately, I've not been able to find a solution yet to be able to email these automatically to students. I'll keep searching. If I come up with something, I'll certainly improve on that, and we'll include that feature. For now, these are all the updates that we have done to the results spreadsheet. So this will be saved on KI Connect as version 2 rather than 1, and I'll also send you an email alerting you that this is now available to you. Please reuse this version of the spreadsheet from now on. So if you've got any sort of larger sets happening throughout March and April, please use this spreadsheet. Hopefully you will improve the processes of recording marks for you in colleges. And as always, keep track of any sort of changes that you still want us to include, and we will, of course, look at these and release another version probably later on in the year if needs be. So for now, that's all, folks. Thank you very much.